حضورنا الكريم، في كل سيمفونية ناجحة ليس هناك عازف واحد، بل هناك تناغم من الأصوات من فريق متكامل يخلق عملا متناغما ترن له آذاننا. بمعنى آخر، هذا التعاون الحقيقي لا ينشأ إلا بعمل الفريق معا في آن واحد برؤية واضحة وهدف مشترك أن الجميع على مركب واحد. لذا هذه الجلسة من المفترض أنها ستوضح لكل الحاضرين كيف يمكن للتعاون المنسجم عندما يدار فقط باحتراف أن يحول مشروعا معقدا إلى تجربة توحد الناس وتلهم المجتمعات. نترككم وبكل سرور مع جلسة بعنوان سيمفونية التعاون، حفلات موسيقية توحد المجتمعات. أما المتحدث فيها السيد روري مcleod، المدير التنفيذي والفني في زينيا كونسيرتس. كما نرحب بالمحاورة السيدة أماندي باغو. رحبوا بهما جميعا.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Amandeep, and it gives me great delight to moderate this very special session. This is part of our grand finale as we are coming to the conclusion of day 2 here at the Dubai International Project Management Forum, and what a treat we have flown in directly from Canada, especially for this forum. We have Rory McLeod. Now, Rory, welcome. This is your first time here in Dubai, so I hope this leads to many collaborations. Before we dive into the subject matter of what Zeynia Concerts represents, allow me please to put the spotlight. We, in this session, are really speaking to the main theme of the forum, bridging communities. And your work in particular is all about ensuring that no member of the community is left behind. Who exactly are you focusing on?
So at Zeynia Concerts, we work with the neurodiversity and disability communities to address barriers to participation in the performing arts by working together with them to redesign concert experiences and make them more inclusive and more accessible.
Fantastic, and I believe you have a wonderful video to set the context for us.
Yes, this video shows you a little bit about what you could expect at one of our concerts.
At Zeynia Concerts, we work hard to meet your accessibility needs so that you can enjoy amazing live musical experiences with incredible musicians in an environment where your needs are met and you can be yourself. All of our concerts are family friendly, and we welcome neurodivergent, disabled, deaf, and hard of hearing attendees. We call them adaptive concerts because they're designed to adapt to your needs. Zeynia Concerts take place in wheelchair accessible venues, set up so that you can move around freely, take a quiet break, or even dance along to the music. Our venue guides show you what to expect and give you important accessibility information. We also provide other supports like fidget toys, therapy dogs, musical ASL interpretation, and visual aids at many of our concerts. Whatever your needs, whatever your age, and however you express yourself, we want you to relax and enjoy the music when you're at a Zeynia concert.
Fantastic. That's such a wonderful insight in terms of your work. Yes, that definitely deserves a big round of applause. I love that term, adaptive concerts. It just really has that inclusivity built into the language, and language is really important. So before, again, we dive into the concerts themselves, the audiences, let's talk about the languages that you employ here to speak about the audience.
Sure. So one of the terms that we use is neurodivergent and neurodiversity. The idea behind neurodiversity is that everybody's brain is unique, and the term neurodivergent we use to refer to anybody who self-identifies as having their neurology differing from, say, what is considered typical. So that includes people in the autism community, but also people with other neurological developmental conditions. And then when we talk about the disability community, we're talking about not only deaf and hard of hearing people and blind people, people with low vision, people who have physical disabilities and might face physical barriers to entering spaces, but also people who are chronically ill and might experience their disability episodically.
And that's really empowering language, so I'm glad that we started there. Now, let's go back to where you started and where Zeynia Concerts started. Where did the motivation come from?
I can't take credit for the idea for Zeynia Concerts, so I have to give a big shout out to the Cecilia String Quartet, who in 2015 had a very inspiring experience playing for an autism-friendly concert in the United States. They were based in Toronto, Canada, and decided that we needed to bring that experience to Canada. So they started with a pilot project, which was just 3 concerts over the course of a year. And those concerts were so well received by the community that we've been growing steadily ever since. And we now present between 30 and 35 concerts every year across Canada.
And when it comes to the concerts, and you're really rethinking the whole design concept and the experience of attending the concerts, talk us through that, because it must be quite a few challenges when it comes to the performing arts world, how we revolutionize that experience.
Yeah, thanks for giving us the opportunity to talk about some of the design adaptations. I think really it's important to talk about the design process as well. One of the things that Zeynia Concerts has done from the beginning is to work directly with members of the community who are most impacted by our programming. And many of the ideas for the adaptations that we've incorporated into our concert design have come directly from audience members who said, you know what, the hand dryers in the bathroom are really noisy and my child can't handle that noise. Could you please consider turning them off when we're in the space? Things like that come up almost every few months. So some of the considerations are, we go well beyond the physical considerations in the space, right? We go to people's sensory needs. As you saw in the video, we think about things like lighting, like mobility within the space, giving people freedom to move around and dance or stim. Stimming is self-stimulatory behavior, which is quite common in the autism community. And then another big aspect of it is communicating that those expectations to the audience, that they are free to express themselves however they want while they're listening to the music.
And of course, you speak there about having that 360 feedback from the audience, but the performers as well, they must feed into the design. And you yourself, you are a performer, you play the viola, you perform in orchestras. That kind of background, you must bring that into the design stage as well.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I've been thinking about the experience from an audience's perspective for years as a concert producer, and working with Zeynia Concerts has really given me the opportunity to double down on that commitment to thinking about things from the audience's perspective and really designing events that suit their needs rather than expecting people to fit within the cultural norms, the socio-cultural norms of a traditional concert setting.
And when we speak about traditional concert setting, I think it's fair to say that certain areas of the arts, classical concerts, they have that stereotype of being perhaps quite exclusive. So over the last few decades, we know that those arenas, there's been an attempt to make them more inclusive. How challenging is it to make the arts world open up to an even wider audience?
That's a great question, because I think there are multiple aspects to it. The first thing I think about is the fact that most people want to welcome as many people as possible to their events. It's not as though people are necessarily designing their events to be exclusive, although some people do actually essentially brand themselves as being exclusive or elite. But in most cases, I think leaders and concert producers actually want as many people as possible to enter their spaces, but they don't necessarily know how to go about that. And understanding the barriers that people face is actually the first step to removing those barriers. That's why that community engagement piece is so important.
Absolutely, and you mentioned there sometimes the leaders might be unaware of certain aspects or barriers. So as this is the Dubai International Project Management Forum, from a project management perspective and from a leadership perspective, what might be some of the lessons that you'd like to share with our audience?
I think one of the most important things we've learned over the years is that real Real change takes time, you know. We can't necessarily expect things to happen overnight, and we have to give people not just the tools, but also the bigger ideas and help shift people's mental frameworks so that they can find ways to solve problems in their own ways. So I like to think of the process of inclusive design as being, you start with the principle that everybody deserves access to something. And then from there, you work with community to address boundaries and barriers and to improve systems. And over time, say 10, 20, 30 years, it's pretty remarkable what kind of change can happen.
And I like the way that you put the spotlight there on both the tools and the mindset. And often it's said throughout society and through time that seeing another example can inspire global change as well. And you know, that's where having you here on our platform here in Dubai is just really vital for those types of collaborations. What would you like to do here in the Middle East, and especially in the UAE?
Well, we're certainly open to collaborating with people from anywhere in the world, and in fact we've shifted our focus somewhat. We still present over 30 concerts a year in Canada, but we've shifted our focus as an organization to equipping others to do this kind of work in their own communities. So I'm very open to talking to any of you about the work that we do. You can find me on LinkedIn, you can find me through the Zeynia Concerts website. I would love to have more conversations about how we can bring this kind of work to the UAE.
And I think that's wonderful, and it's very timely, because as we know, based here in the UAE, and through my time being based here for over a decade, there's such a great heartfelt and community-led and leadership-led movement to have people of determination and the inclusivity when that comes into education, entertainment, culture as well. So this is a wonderful possible crossover point. So please do get in touch with Rory McLeod. Now, Rory, beyond concerts themselves, bridging communities, you've done a lot of work in terms of making that kind of connection with communities stronger. Let's hear about some of the wonderful stories that you're part of.
Sure, I think I'll focus on one story, which is about a young man named Thomas who loves music and is extremely enthusiastic about it, so much so that he'd been kicked out of events when he was young with his mother. But they came to Zeynia concerts, and they'd been coming for several years. Thomas got the chance to compose a piece of music through a project we did called Sound Collab, where we worked with people who were interested in musical composition as a form of self-expression, but maybe didn't have a traditional formal musical background. So I've actually got a little video prepared for this too that gives some of the perspective of some of the participants from that program.
Fantastic. Let's look at that video now.
About music, but I hadn't thought of myself as a composer until this project occurred.
I feel that music is very good at highlighting emotions and possibly could be better at communicating this message.
I would like a jazzy song with the fire truck sounds and calling it the Fire Truck Blaze.
Well, it sure changed my sense of music, what it can do. Like, I can turn anything into music.
Okay, I'll start it with the drill kind of fading in. Yep. Oh, I like it. So adding extra bar.
Would you like to tell us what inspired this piece for you?
I guarantee you other people have this problem, but do the sighted world really understand? Let's just see what it sounds like, I guess.
Is this what you're looking for?
I can do anything.
Thank you for sharing that behind the scenes journey. That's really interesting.
Yeah, my pleasure. I mean, you can see Thomas on the screen at the very end of that video. When he heard his piece performed for the first time by this professional string quartet, he jumped out of his chair and he started conducting them with his pen. And he said, "I'm a great composer." And you know, it was such an amazing moment for me to witness, that when somebody has their ideas taken seriously and they're given exactly the support they need in order to bring them to life, such amazing things can happen.
Well, especially because you began by sharing that story, saying how he and his mother were therefore kicked out of a concert because of what may have been seen as unruly behavior.
Yeah.
The organizers didn't recognize that the sensitivity that should have been involved. And now look at him. He's a great composer.
Exactly. Yeah, and he still comes back to our concerts and volunteers and greets people, and he's become a great member of the community.
Fantastic. We've only got a minute on the clock. I don't know how that happened, Rory. However, looking ahead in that minute, tell us about 2026 and beyond. Zeynia concerts, what can we look out for?
So in 2026, we're doing concerts with every genre of music you could imagine. We've got rappers, we've got Indian Kathak dance, we've got R&B and soul, but we're also starting to develop partnerships with other concert presenters in Quebec and in Saskatchewan, and if you're familiar with Canadian geography, that's a pretty long distance. We may as well extend it all the way to other continents as well. So again, I would love to hear from people who are interested in the work that we're doing, and if we can help to improve accessibility.
Absolutely. Well, that's what Dubai and the UAE is all about, international collaboration. We've got such a wealth of Emirati talent and international talent based here in this country, and it's really about bridging communities and connecting people globally and within the country as well. So this session has been really special. Thank you for flying in especially. Thank you for sharing the journey, your personal take on this as well, and for inspiring us all on this day 2 of the Dubai International Project Management Forum. Please, my ladies and gentlemen, give Rory McLeod a big round of applause.
Thank you for having me.
And we will leave you now for the grand finale. Thank you very much. Thank you.